When are we going to be able to solve for the stupid underbelly of the hobby? Stuff that can really do a lot of damage to credibility. I watch all this sorts of content around the excitement around the National and Fanatics Fest and all the things that Topps is going to do in this, that, or the other. And then we find out that people are using, and apparently have been using, maybe for years, CT scanners. And we're going to dive in a little bit more on this because there's some additional news that just popped up here, and I think it's about to blow wide open. Stick around. What's going on, sports card hobby family? It's another day, another sports card video. Going to be a little bit of a quick one today. I caught something last night that it got me. It shook me a little bit. My buddy Nick at Sports Card Madness over there on IG did a little bit of a live talking about CT scanners, an interview that he did. I thought it was very interesting. I'm reacting to it. Before I get started, thank you to today's video sponsor, Pristine Auction. I just got this puppy in the mail a couple of days ago. It's a James Hetfield signed guitar, Metallica guitar. Dang, this thing is heavy. Stuff that you can't necessarily find just anywhere. Use Sports Card Dad promo code for $10 off your first auction win at Pristine Auction. Don't miss out. All right, so Nick pops up here out of nowhere. My buddy Nick and Larry, the Sports Card Madness duo, and they've been doing some really nice content here recently. They get all these interviews and things popping off. And he's talking about on this IG Live how he just interviewed somebody and he was a little bit shaken up. He was shook by it. And apparently it was a CT scanning company that's been, I guess, operating in the space. There's going to be a full episode, I think that he said Sunday, on the Sports Card Madness YouTube channel. So make sure I be dialed in, because I'm going to be dialed in for sure. Some little nuggets. He didn't give me any extras. I did reach out to him directly too, just to see, hey, is there any other little nuggets you could share? Not really. And he wants to kind of keep that for his episode, and he absolutely should. But a couple of the things that he shared in that live that I thought were interesting are vintage packs are safe-ish from CT scanners, at least according to this interview that he had. So vintage stuff, I guess maybe harder to read or see on the CT scanning side. Maybe there's others that would say that that's not true, but this is what Nick came back with. They also can't do, from what it sounds like, Magic the Gathering cards of all things. And I was just thinking, of course, like many, I'm sure, Rudy Alpha Investments has about $1 zillion in sealed product from MTG for Magic the Gathering. And so he's just wiping his brow. The sweat was pouring off when he saw this stuff. And he can easily just wipe his brow and move on, because apparently you can't see what's inside all of his sealed cases that he's got loaded up in warehouses. MTG, Magic the Gathering, I thought that was really interesting. What might come out later, and I think it's something that is kind of this, it's an evolving story, which breakers have really been involved in this deal. And I think that's something that we don't really know, but eventually probably going to come out at some point. And it's a big deal. Basically what they said is modern, a lot of the modern, ultra modern, the glossy stuff is pretty easy to do. This thing can see through sealed cases of modern, ultra modern autographs, especially autographs easy to see with the CT scanner. Right now, this kind of feels like one of those deals where the insiders know what's going on. The rest of the public doesn't really know, but there are some insiders that do know what's going on. And I'm not going to say this is the same as card trimming, but it does kind of fall into the bucket. If you are, a breaker, or you're somebody that is using this tool to be able to pick out, okay, we'll break this, we'll keep that, and kind of figuring that out. It takes the randomness out of it. I'll explain why that could be an issue. That's a major issue in a minute, but it does kind of fall into the bucket of card repair, which I know everybody's like, what's the big deal? We're just fixing some edges and we're fixing some corners. I can't stand the idea of trading card repair. I've made that very clear on the channel. Card trimming. Obviously, card trimming is something that's been done for decades. It's not any sort of new news. It's been done on vintage cards. It's been done on modern cards. We saw even, Trey Lance cards going back a couple of years ago that were trimmed and made it into integrated holders. So these sorts of things happen. There is this stupid underbelly that we are fighting against to really legitimize this as some sort of a normal hobby market. I think that's the thing. Yes, it's a hobby. And again, look, if you're collecting, 10-cent cards, or you're building out sets, and, like I said, I bought binders of 89 hoops that are $40 that I enjoy just looking at. this doesn't really affect you. When I buy a binder, a set for 50 bucks, do I care if half the cards have been trimmed in there? No, because I'm literally just looking through the set. It's just, okay, here's a complete set. I can look through it. But of course, with the more valuable cards, third-party grading exists really because of all this BS. Even if they can't catch it all the time, at least it gives us some sort of help against it. But now we've got a new thing. Now, of course, we know breaking and boxes, new product, this stuff ain't cheap. We just talked about, literally just talked about $270 hobby box for Topps Chrome basketball that's not even licensed. It is expensive. Cardboard is expensive these days, and everybody is always looking for a leg up, whether it's card trimming, card repair, or hell, scanning, using medical devices to scan a box or a sealed case to try to see what is inside of it. You talk about just technology taking over. I remember when I was a kid in the Walmarts and the Kmarts, guys would be able to kind of look through the cello packs and be able to see like, oh, okay, we got Bo Jackson on the top here, kind of pick through, try to get the good packs, and it would leave everything else. So this is nothing new to this whatsoever. People have been looking for angles to get ahead in this space since probably going back to the 70s, 80s, when it really started to pick up and become more mainstream and there was a lot more money in it. Well, this is a really, really big deal, in part because a large part of our hobby, I've talked about it, I was at the National, the Caesars Palace, the Whatnot Machine, the Breaker Pavilion. There is a lot of money on that side of the fence that's not on the singles market necessarily, but folks that are just playing in, the Razzes and the breaks and the duck races and all that stuff. Which, fine, hey, look, if that's your deal, you love it, fantastic. But how would you feel if you found out that, certain breakers were scanning cases ahead of time, already knew which boxes were the best ones, put those over here. Maybe they allowed for some nice hits to go through. How would you feel about that? I mean, the whole excitement around the break is, you're looking for Willy Wonka's golden ticket. There's only so many of those golden tickets out there, and someone's going to open these packs for you, and hopefully you get the Logo Man, or hopefully you get whatever that thing is, that huge card that you're searching for. It's a treasure hunt. Well, how would you feel if the treasure's already been picked out? How would you feel about that? Now, how prevalent is this in the industry? This is kind of one of those things that we have to now learn over time. Is this something that's happened a lot? Is it happening a lot now? Or is this a rare thing? Is this one or two breakers that do this, and maybe have they done it occasionally? Is there a breaker that does it all the time? Is there a bunch of breakers that do this all the time? It's going to come out at some point. It'll eventually come out as to what is what. And I've compared this when I was at the National to fair games, carnival games. And how it goes. Those fair games, you've got, what you throw in the basket, or you're throwing darts or whatever, but the darts are leaded, or, it's rigged. Essentially, these are rigged games. When you go to the fair, it's rigged so that you don't win a prize every time. So it's very difficult to win. What's the story here? Is this another rigged fair game? Or is just maybe a few bad actors? What's the story? How big is it? Or how small is this? We will find out soon enough, I'm sure. Friends, stay healthy, stay awesome, and I will talk to you again later.